Hey, it's Amy. Welcome back to my channel. I love coffee so much. My coffee table, which you cannot see, is 3 shoe boxes full of actually 2 pairs of shoes. One's empty, but anyways. In today's video, I'm going to share my personal running journey. I'll cover why I really got into running, things I've learned along the way, and why I continue to run. But first, if you haven't already, click that subscribe button and the bell icon so you get notified every time I upload a video. So let's talk about my running journey. Young, I loved to run and run fast. When I was in soccer, I always played forward or striker, and I would be able to run super fast to the ball, and then, I'm sure I would shoot the ball, but I was really good at getting to the ball first. Then I went to gymnastics, and my best event was the vault, which, surprise, surprise, you run towards really fast, and then you do some flips. But all this, I should have just realized I should have just been running. I ran occasionally, but in high school in grade 12, I joined the track team. I was homeschooled before that, so it's kind of hard to have a track team of one person. So I joined the track team and specialized, or mostly just did 1, 2, and 400 when I was forced. Again, at this point, I really just loved the shorter distances. It was so cool as I had really never had a structured running training, and I remember after the first practice almost falling asleep at the dinner table. I was so tired. I wish I had done more years at track because I feel like I just scratched the surface, and it's hard to compete against girls who've been doing track for many years and me just doing it 1 year, but I still had an amazing experience. Then I went to university, and especially in Newfoundland, you can't really run outside for very long because it's windy, rainy, and cold and snowy, so I would run on the treadmill at the gym, but I was so focused and intense on practicing the violin that I felt like I couldn't spare even a moment to exercise, and I kind of regret that now, but that was what it was. And I would do some gym classes with my friends, but I would run occasionally, but nothing too structured. It really wasn't until 2017 that I decided to actually run. There's a few reasons for that, but I had lost my father in 2016 to pancreatic cancer, and I was barely sleeping. I was pretty much a wreck and just, couldn't sleep, and I decided that I wanted to go to the gym and stop putting things off that I had been, one day I will do, but just knowing or seeing firsthand how quickly life can change, I just wanted to stop putting things off. So I went to Good Life, got a trainer because I was really scared of injuring myself, and so I loved my trainer and started to exercise, and it was pretty pathetic. I think I could barely hold a 30-second plank. Yeah, I had no muscles. It was pretty bad. Then I guess I'd always thought, running a half marathon would be so cool, and so I decided that why not? I think I was gonna sign up to do a half marathon. What I did was I messaged my friend who I knew had been running a lot, and he suggested Hal Higdon. So I went to the Hal Higdon website, looked at the different plans. I think I did the beginner marathon plan, or no, the beginner half marathon plan. I got ahead of myself. And at that time you only had it in miles, so I had to convert it to kilometers and made myself a training plan. I realized at that time I had gotten into bullet journaling, and you can look at my other videos. I have one about bullet journaling later on for runners, but it's my whole training plan. You know what? Just remembering this, I made this plan in a car going to Kingston, Ontario, going to a gig, and I wrote out this plan while I was en route for work. I was literally in a car doing this plan. Yeah, I just remembering that. That's just such a vivid memory, and really just getting ready for that race. I had no idea what I was getting myself into. I had no idea, and I'll talk about that in a second, but yeah, just looking at this schedule just brings back so many memories, and just all the mistakes I did, but also it was so cool, going for runs. And I was looking actually at the Nike app. That's what I used at the beginning of my training. As I used my phone, I would take my phone on my runs because I didn't have a watch. Eventually I got a Fitbit, which I loved, and I used that for the gym too. But anyways, that kept track of my runs, and I remember seeing in the Nike app January 2017 6 kilometers. It was so cool to see those beginning runs. On my runs, I would used to listen to podcasts, and I remember this one podcast S-Town, and in one of the episodes I remember just like bawling on my run. It was so sad. Anyways, it was just, I remember listening to podcasts, but I didn't really listen to music because at that time I was freelancing and playing a lot of music, so I just needed a break from music and I would listen to podcasts or nothing at all. But yeah, I would follow this plan and I would run, it seems, around 2, 3 or 4 times a week, and would eventually build up to like 4 days a week. Farthest I got before the half marathon was 18 kilometers. Fast forward to race day, I had been dealing with some IT band issues, and I remember not being, or barely being able to walk to meet my friends, and walking really slow as the just outside of my knees, just I could barely walk. It was so bad, and I think that's because I had no foundation. I probably should have done like a 10K race at first and built my mileage a little slower. And the shoes I ran with, I remember going to the Nike store and being like, I need a pair of running shoes, and they gave me a pair of Nike Free Runs, which, looking back, I have no idea how I didn't further injure myself in those shoes. They're not the greatest for running. Sorry if you run in them, but please don't run in them. They're not the greatest. And I did all my runs in those shoes. I didn't know any better. I didn't even get to go pick up my race kit. My friends had to go for me because this year, actually 2 years in a row, I had the same gig in Windsor, Ontario, where I played a concert that evening, or the Saturday evening, drove home, or got a drive home, and got home maybe like 1 or 2 a.m. and had to go to the race, which was, I don't know, probably 8 a.m., something early. So yeah, like not ideal, don't recommend it, but at that time when you're living paycheck to paycheck, you take the gigs you get and you just have to suck it up. So yes, my friend got my race kit, dropped it off at my apartment, and I got it that when I got home at like 1 or 2, pinned the bib on. My race shirt, yes, I wore the shirt from the kit, and don't judge me, it was my very first race, so I had no idea, or I didn't know better. So I got that all ready, went to bed, and tried to sleep. I think I must have taken the subway or a taxi, can't remember. Yeah, I must have taken a taxi, and I didn't check the weather. Didn't know that it was actually going to be pretty cold. I had my cute Lululemon shorts that I got and a t-shirt and nothing else. So I had this like Aeropostale zip-up sweater that I was going to put in my race kit to have afterwards, but I ended up having to run like half the race in this non-athletic sweater, and eventually I had it around my waist, and then eventually dumped it at a water station where I knew they would donate it. I'd also raced in my glasses for like probably 3 races. I don't know why I wouldn't wear contacts, but I would wear my glasses, so I don't know why. Have you ever run in glasses? Is that a thing? I don't know why I would do it, but anyways, glad I have switched to contacts. I remember running the race and just being so excited that I had got to the start line and was running this race I had always wanted to do. Yes, it was cold and my IT bands were kind of hurting, but I ran, and I think about like maybe 15 kilometers they were handing out these gels, or these, I had no idea what they were, but I'm like, oh, if they're handing them out in the race, they must be good for me. So I took one and tried to eat this, I think it was goo, and I started to not feel good because obviously I've never trained with gels. So don't do anything new on race day, but just thought, yeah, they were giving them out. Why not? I remember running the race and being near the finish line and just feeling the most amazing. Like, I was so proud of myself for finishing this race. I felt so strong, and I felt like I could do anything. Like I could do anything after doing this race. Like I still get chills, and I still remember just like that feeling of just like, you know, working really hard and like dealing with grief. Grief is really hard, and running and training and just like accomplishing this goal. And I knew my dad would have been really proud of me, and I raised money for pancreatic cancer research. I think I raised over $1,000. It was just like a really emotional, but also like a really cool experience. Like, you never forget your first race, and like, yeah, that half marathon just like was really special, still really special. And I'm really thankful that I got into running, and after I finished the race, I was like, oh, I didn't do it in too bad of time. Like, oh, I'm kind of good at this. And then that was that. So fast forward that year, I would run, but not like a huge amount. I don't know if I ran over the winter, but I definitely was going to the gym a lot. So I feel like that maybe helped me just build my muscles and prevent me from getting any major injuries. Okay, after I did a couple 10Ks and half marathons, I decided that it was time to do a marathon. So again, I followed the Hal Higdon marathon plan this time instead of the half marathon plan. And at some time, I would join the running room that was really close to my apartment and did some of the workouts with them. So I enjoyed doing that and was really excited to do my marathon and would build my mileage. And again, I don't know how far. I think I ended up going maybe 30 kilometers, but I don't think I ran very far. My long runs, and long runs, as you know I've said, are the bread and butter of marathon training. But anyway, I got to the start line pretty healthy, no injuries, and did this race. Again, it was so amazing to run, seeing the finish line, and I didn't see my husband, or at that time my boyfriend, cheering me on. I just remember going to the finish line and I couldn't believe that I had done the marathon. And I missed getting a BQ by maybe a couple minutes, but I don't think I could have run any faster with the training that I was doing. I was just, again, so happy that I accomplished a marathon. I love the marathon. It's so special and it's very hard, but I was so proud of myself. Couldn't walk for days afterwards, couldn't go downstairs. Every marathon I do, I feel like I recover a little better, but that first marathon was something else. Then my goal changed to qualifying for Boston. Since I was so close, I could just feel it in my grasp. So I decided to train for the Ottawa Marathon, which was the end of May, and that was in 2019. I was still running alone, and I was like, I prefer running alone, being a lone wolf. I don't want to run with others because I don't want to like their pace, and I just want to do my own thing. Still using the Hal Higdon method, I started doing like the intermediate marathon, was hoping to run faster. Ended up getting Vivo Active 3, I believe, for my first marathon, which was great for at the time, and yeah, I think that's what I raced my marathon in. But I switched to using this journal and just like looking at my like what I did, and I was just ran so fast. Like, I just don't know why I would do an easy run at 4:36 a kilometer. Like, that's not easy pace, but I think in my head I was just so worried that if I ran slow I would become slow, not realizing that because I was running everything so fast that I wouldn't recover and I wasn't doing myself or my body any favors. But I wasn't part of a running club. I didn't have any coaches or anybody's input, so I was really doing this all myself. So I can see I went to the gym many times a week. I think I went like 3 or 4 days, and then I did 3 or 4 days a week of running. I think eventually 1, 2, 3, 4. I would end up going 5 days a week, so that's a good amount. And then I would have 2 days off of running. So yeah, training for Ottawa in the winter, it was cold, and I was, doing my best and doing some speed workouts and hills. And I bought a pair of shoes. They weren't like race shoes, they were just like long run shoes, but I bought them at Black Toe, not realizing that eventually I would go there, but bought a pair of shoes, went to Ottawa and stayed with my friend, got the race kit, and she dropped me off in the morning, and again, didn't really look at the weather forecast beforehand, and it was so warm during that race. I remember running, they had sprinklers, they had sponges, and I just wasn't ready for the heat. Like, I had not trained in it, had not prepared myself mentally and physically, and I don't know if it was like kilometer 20, 25 that I got to, and my stomach hurt so badly, and I just got cramps, and I just had to walk. I had to walk, and I was so upset because I was hoping to qualify for Boston, and I felt terrible, and like, how am I ever going to finish this marathon? I just remember like crying, but I was so determined that I was not going to stop. I was going to finish this race no matter what. So I had been going at a pretty pace, and I think ended up, even if I walked, or when I walked a lot, I still did it in like 3:40, which in hindsight, I have no idea how I did it that fast because I walked a lot at the end. But anyways, I would get myself going, had a popsicle people handed out, and I remember getting across the finish line and promptly throwing up. Like, it's just, my body was just so done, and it was, yeah, not a great experience. I remember being in the marathon, being like, I'm never going to run a marathon again, ha ha ha, how funny that is. But yeah, I felt terrible. I think we all have, or have had those races. Have you had that experience? Please share them in a comment below. Ironically, at this Ottawa Marathon, I had no idea, but some of my future, or actually a lot of future friends, were there running that race. I just didn't know them yet. I remember calling my mom and just being so sad and just like upset of this race, and she was like, maybe you need to join a running club and just get like experience and a training plan and all that stuff. And I was like, I think you're right, Mom, as moms usually are. So I decided to join Black Toe, and it was one of the best decisions I've ever done. I didn't end up going until after my honeymoon in like July of 2019 because it just was away and etc. So I remember going after, and I still ran on my honeymoon, but I was training for the Scotia Marathon again in October. I remember going to my first practice and I was so scared because I had no idea what to expect, didn't know a single person, didn't know if I'd be able to keep up with people. Just like, it's really intimidating. So I remember going to the store and we ran down to the MGT, and I remember just running kilometer repeats. I'm like, what's a kilometer repeat, or you know, what is that? And so did the workout and then met some of my very, very best friends at this run club. Like, I had such an amazing experience that summer, and just like, I got so much faster so quickly because I just had a plan that was well structured and around people who were really like, who were faster than I was, so I was chasing them all the time, and people who pushed me to try to run faster, and just, you know, had so much experience and knowledge that I just soaked it all up. I remember being so nervous for Scotia, worried that the same thing would happen that it happened at Ottawa, that I would get sick halfway through, but I was so determined. And at that time I was running with my friend Breffney. We trained all summer together, kept to a really good pace, like conservative, and at the end, if we felt good, we were gonna, you know, go faster. And yeah, I was so excited at the end of that marathon. Like, I remember running past the Black Toe cheer group and just having so much fun at that marathon, and got to the end and I couldn't believe that I had done 3:16 and just was so excited. And I remember after celebrating, and the coach is like, well, no one's broken 3 yet. And I'm like, ha ha ha, like, I'll never do that or be able to do that. That's just so fast. Fast forward to a year later, guess what happened? It was the best summer of training. Like, I felt amazing. I felt so strong, and my training was going so well, and I was super happy because honestly, running was all I had. I lost all of my gigs, my teaching was off for the summer, but I just lost so much, and I still had running. I still had my running group when we couldn't run for a bit, and then when we could run together, just like those people I would see consistently when I wouldn't see anyone else. Like, that community, and just would run with my friend James, and just like, I get choked up because like that summer, you couldn't do anything except for run. Like, I could only run, and that was just, that summer really meant a lot to me, and just like, I grew so much as a runner, and that was a hard year just because losing all my work and having to figure out what to do with my life at that point, because you can't have concerts when you need a big group of people to go to concerts. So what is a violinist supposed to do? Started this YouTube channel. So lots of great things came out of it, despite having a rough time at the beginning. Actually, it's so funny because I was only planning on doing the 10K in this virtual race. I was like, oh, I'll just do the 10K. Don't know if I want to do a virtual marathon. And then my coach and I talked, and he had some really, really good insight, and I'm very glad that I decided to do the marathon. It was stressful because you have a lot of things to worry about when it's not like a structured race. Like, the MGT was doing these open streets Toronto, so no cars could be there, which is very thankful, but there's still lots of pedestrians, and there's still some stoplights, and you have to produce your own water and your own fueling. So there was just a lot of factors. My friend Sophia biked on the whole way with me, like, just so amazing, and my coach ran the first half. I just like followed his pacing. It was amazing. And then my friend Brian ran the second half with me, and my other friends rode their bikes with me at the end, and like other people just like, we're just there. It was so amazing, and they really got me through it. Like, I remember at the end of the marathon, I was not doing well. Like, I was really slowing down, and I was so upset because I was like, oh, I'm gonna miss my goal of sub 3, and I just like was so sad because I felt like I was disappointing everyone and myself. But I kept going, and they were so awesome, and they held my water and Gatorade and gels, and I just remember getting to the end, and just like, there's a picture of us all just like going together to the end, and I remember just finishing, looking at my watch and realizing that I had done it, and I just couldn't believe that I had actually accomplished my goal. And it was just, I was was like ecstatic for days, weeks after that. Just, I couldn't believe that I had finally broken the 3-hour barrier. I was the first to break the 3-hour barrier in my running club, but definitely not the last, and that makes me so happy. Fast forward to Boston 2021. It was such a unique year because this is like the first and last time Boston will ever be held, hopefully in a fall. Like usually it's in April, but it was in October of 2021. I was running with lactose still at that point and training for Boston and just having a really good training season and just felt really strong. And I eventually got a job in Halifax, where we currently are, and we moved about August. So I know it's not ideal to move, you know, and change plans, but we did move here and decide that we wanted to run with people because it's really hard running alone. It's really hard pushing yourself, and I just know I thrive on having people around or people to chase or people next to me. So we decided to run with the Hammers here in Halifax. It was a bit of a shock moving to Halifax because there's a lot of more hills here, and yes, that's good Boston training, but I remember running and being like, oh my goodness, I just want a flat piece of, flat kilometer or flat, just anything, and it was a bit of an adjustment. I was so nervous for Boston because I hadn't done an in-person race since Cheel half marathon in 2020, like right before everything closed down. So I just, couldn't believe that I was doing an in-person race in Boston, like the one I had dreamed of for so long, that I finally was getting to do it. My mom and I decided to go, and I have more Boston kind of recap and videos, so I'll have them in the description below, but I just remember being so excited that I was finally going to this iconic race. My running journey isn't anything that will make headlines or is too unique, but it's special to me. I had no idea what I was getting myself into when I asked my friend for a training plan for my first half marathon. It's so cool to see the progression from 2017 all the way to current day, just to see all the friends that I've made and the experiences and just seeing how much I've grown. Running really saved my life, and it gave me goals, and I feel so much healthier, and it's helped me with stress, and just I feel like just a better, more rounded person because I've made so many wonderful friends, but also just being able to go out and run and just have that self-time to myself or just with other people, and it's really just helped me with life, like really helped me and still helps me. It's me against me when I want to get faster. Like, it's not against, who cares about other runners and how fast they run? It's about how I'm doing and how I'm pushing myself and always want to get better and just always trying to grow and become a stronger, faster runner. Again, I'm so much healthier physically and mentally since 2017 and prior to that. I hope you've enjoyed hearing my running journey and that you're getting into running just now, or you've been running for a long time. You can kind of see maybe some parallels, or just enjoy hearing another runner's story. I hope you're all doing well and that your training is going well. And if you're doing any spring races, please let me know in a comment below. I'll be cheering nice and loud for you from here. Happy training and coffee drinking. See you next time.